Okay, please welcome the behavioral genetics group.
Our Blue Ridge Biotech topic was behavioral genetics, and it will be presented to you by Caroline, Lauren, Megan, Allie, Kale, and myself, Stephanie. Behavioral genetics is an interdisciplinary field of study that looks at the effects of genes and hereditary traits on certain human and animal personalities and behaviors. It also looks at genetic information and relates it to how personality and behavioral effects change the way genes relate with the environment. It was originally studied by Sir Francis Galton in the 1920s. He initiated the study of behavioral genetics and founded the Foundation for Further Study of Behavioral Genetics. He originally studied how certain traits are affected by certain genes, but this later led to a nature versus nurture topic. His studies led many young new scientists into the field, and they made many discoveries in things like twin studies, criminal studies, and many disorders. He was also known as the father of behavioral genetics.
Current actions done in behavioral genetics. One is the Human Genome Project. The Human Genome Project is an important topic in the field of behavioral genetics. It was an international research project done to map out all of the 20,500 genes in the human genome. It was finished in April of 2003, and it gave humans a first look into their entire genome. It also gave way to studies done in behavioral genetics. Studies done in behavioral genetics include twin studies and behavioral disorders. In one twin study, 112 pairs of monozygotic and dizygotic twins were studied with emotional stability and eating disorders. Researchers looked at their genome and the probability of heredity between the parents and offspring, where the traits are passed down from the parent to the offspring. An ethical problem in the field of behavioral genetics is artificial selection. Artificial selection is when humans they have their desired traits put into their version of a perfect baby. Selective breeding is another topic, and selective breeding is when humans isolate genotypes to get a plant or animal's desired traits.
A major issue within the field of behavioral genetics is the lack of researchers. Researchers are an integral part of solving world problems. Without these researchers, these problems will not be solved. Through our grant proposal, we hope to encourage students to explore the field of behavioral genetics more in depth. These researchers are important when it comes to making new discoveries. These discoveries are important because they can help change society in both good and bad ways. A way this can be applied to real life is with criminals. Criminals have claimed that their genetics is what has caused them to do what they have done. By studying their genes and their background, we can compare them to a non-criminal and determine if this is true or not. If this is true, researchers can try to find a way to help them and solve this problem. And if it is not true, they can try to determine, they know that this is not a valid reason as to why they have done what they have done.
Even with the research that has already been conducted in the field of behavior genetics, there is still much to learn. And to shed light on the things we still don't know, we will need more behavior geneticists. We propose an education program based in Boston, Massachusetts, to introduce college graduates to a new field of science they might be interested in. Our program will offer 3 classes a week, each approximately 2 hours long, consisting primarily of lectures with a few hands-on activities. With more behavior geneticists in the world, we can conduct more research in the fields of criminal activity, behavior disorders, and learning more about the human genome.
Our institute is a 1,200 square foot space located in Boston, Massachusetts. Rent here is $22,200 per year. For advertising, we are playing 15-second radio ads 70 times a month for $20,000 a year. We are also hiring a telemarketer 3 months prior to opening up our institute. He will be calling local students in the area with a bachelor's degree in science in hopes of getting them to attend. Our professor will be paid $30,000 per year. While this number may seem low for a professor, please keep in mind he's only teaching about 6 hours per week. For classroom equipment, we are purchasing a Promethean board, a podium, storage cabinets, totaling $7,260. Because the students are simply studying behavioral genetics and not actually conducting further research, there is no need to purchase a scanning electron microscope, which can run about $1 million each. Students will be using online textbooks in order to keep costs low. Our total cost of expenses is $91,900 to $960. So we're asking for $92,000 from our investors.
In conclusion, behavioral genetics was first founded by Sir Francis Galton, who conducted experiments and studies to analyze evolutionary change and behavioral traits in a certain species over time. His studies were based off of Charles Darwin's studies, who analyzed physical traits, not necessarily behavioral traits. Behavioral genetics is an important field of study because of its many applications to modern areas, such as criminal activity, behavioral disorders, and twin studies. In our Institute of Behavioral Genetics Education, we plan to educate, essentially, behavioral geneticists so that way the field can benefit from their education. From this institute, we would be creating more behavioral geneticists, and our main field of focus would be behavioral disorders because of the knowledge that isn't known in that specific field. As Lauren mentioned, we are asking $92,000, and which leaves a little bit of wiggle room for unexpected problems during the startup of the company. The company will be based in Boston, Massachusetts, and then possibly recreated in Seattle, Washington. And then once in a stable financial state, we plan to create an online institution so that we can reach a broader amount of students throughout the United States of America. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes. Because Boston, over the past 5 years, has been seen as one of the leading cities in the United States for science in research in the scientific field. Yes. Also, in Seattle, we plan to not necessarily focus our company in one part of the United States, but to reach each section, the Midwest, Eastern, Western seaboards, North and South also. Yes, ma'am, we did. Are there any other questions?
Very good. All right, other groups, while we're setting up, take a couple of minutes. Again, you're looking at appearance and all the other